This is chapter 5 of Prodigy. June, 5:45 hours. Veneza. Day 1 as an official member of the Patriots. Oh, this is June, by the way. I forgot to read that part. My bad. I chose not to be in the room during the surgery. Tess, of course, stayed to assist the medic. The image of Day lying unconscious on the table, face pale and blank, head turned 90 degrees to the ceiling, would remind me a little too much of the night I hunched over Midas's body in the hospital alley. I prefer not to let the Patriot see my weaknesses, so I stay away, sitting alone on one of the couches in the main room. I also keep my distance in order to really think about Razor's plan for me. I'm going to be arrested by Republic soldiers. I'm going to find a way to get a private audience with the Elector, and then I'm going to gain his trust. I'm going to tell him about a bogus assassination plot that will lead to a full pardon of all my crimes against the Republic. Then I'm going to lure him to his actual assassination. That's my role. Thinking about it is one thing, pulling it off is another. I study my hands and wonder whether I'm ready to have blood on them, whether I'm ready to kill someone. What was it Midas had always told me? Few people ever kill for the right reasons, June. But then I remember what Day said in the bathroom. Getting rid of the person in charge seems like a small price to pay for starting a revolution, don't you think so? The Republic took Midas away from me. I think of the trials, the lies about my parents' death, the engineered plagues. From this luxury high-rise, I can see Vegas's trial stadium behind the skyscrapers gleaming off in the distance. Few people kill for the right reasons, but if any reason is the right one, it must be this, isn't it? My hands are trembling slightly. I study them. It's quiet in this apartment now. Razor has left again. He stepped out at 3:32 in full uniform, and Kate is dozing on the far end of my couch. If I were to drop a pin on the marble floor here, the sound would probably hurt my ears. After a while, I turn my attention to the small screen on the wall. It's muted, but I still watch the familiar cycle of news playing. Flood warnings, storm warnings, airship arrival and departure times, victories against the colonies along the war front. Sometimes I wonder whether a Republic makes those victories too, and whether we're actually winning or losing the war. The headlines roll on. There's even a public announcement warning that any civilian caught with a red streak in his or her hair will be arrested on sight. The news cycle ends abruptly. I straighten when I see the next bit of footage. The new Elector is about to give his first live speech to the public. I hesitate, then glance over at Cade. She seems to be sleeping pretty soundly. I get up, cross the room on light feet, then skim a finger across the monitor to turn up the volume. The sound is tiny, but enough for me to hear. I watch as Andon, or rather the Elector Primo, steps gracefully up to the podium. He nods to his usual brigade of government-appointed reporters in front of him. He looks exactly the way I remember him, a younger version of his father, with slender glasses and a regal tilt to his chin, dressed imperceptibly in a formal gold-trimmed black uniform with double rows of shining buttons. Now is a time of great change. Our resolve is being tested more than ever, and the war with our enemy has reached a climax, he says. He speaks as though his father hadn't died, as if he had always been our Elector Primo. We have won our last 3 warfront battles and seized 3 of the colony's southern cities. We are on the brink of victory, and it won't be long before the Republic spans the edge of the Atlantic Ocean. It is our manifest destiny. He goes on reassuring the people of our military strength and promising later announcements about changes he wants to implement. Who knows how much of it is true? I go back to studying his face. His voice is not unlike his father's, but I find myself drawn to the sincerity of it. 20 years old. Maybe he actually believes everything he's saying, or maybe he just does a great job of hiding his doubts. I wonder how he feels about his father's death, and how he is able, at press conferences like this, to pull himself together enough to play his role. No doubt Congress is eager to manipulate such a young new elector to try to run the show behind the scenes and push him around like a chess piece. Based on what Razor said, they must be clashing daily. Andon might be as power-hungry as his father was if he refuses to listen to the Senate at all. What exactly are the differences between Andon and his father? What does Andon think the Republic should be, and for that matter, what do I think it should be? I mute the screen again and walk away. Don't dwell too deeply on who Andon is. I can't think about him as if he were a real person, a person I have to kill. Finally, as the first rays of dawn start spilling into the room, Tess comes out of the bedroom with the news that Day is awake and alert. He's in good shape, she says to Cade. Right now he's sitting up, and he shouldn't be able to walk around in a few hours. Then she sees me, and her smile fades. You can see him if you want. Cade cracks open an eye, shrugs, and goes back to sleep. I give Tess the friendliest smile I can manage, then take a deep breath and head for the bedroom. Day is propped up with pillows and covered up to his chest with a thick blanket. He must be tired, but he still winks when he sees me walk in, a gesture that makes my heart skip a beat. His hair spills around him in a shining circle. A few bent paper clips lie in his lap, taken from the supply boxes in the corner. I guess he did get up. Apparently he was in the middle of making something out of them. I let out a sigh of relief when I can tell he's not in pain. Hey, I say to him, glad to see you're alive. Glad to see I'm alive too, he replies. His eyes follow me as I sit down next to him on the bed. Did I miss anything while I was out? Yeah, you missed listening to Cade snore on the couch. For someone always ducking the law, that girl sure sleeps soundly. Day laughs a little. I marvel again at his high spirits, something I haven't seen much over the last few weeks. My gaze wanders to where the blanket covers his healing leg. How is it? Day scoots the blanket aside. Underneath there are plates of smooth metal, steel and titanium, where his wound had been. The medic also replaced his bad knee with an artificial one, and now a good third of his leg is metallic. He reminds me of the soldiers who came back from the war front, with their synthetic hands and arms and legs, metal where skin used to be. The medic must be very familiar with war injuries. No doubt Razor's officer connections helped him obtain something as expensive as the healing salves she must have used on Day. I put out an open palm, and he puts his hand in mine. How does it feel? Day shakes his head incredulously. It feels like nothing, completely light and painless. A mischievous grin crosses his face. Now you'll get to see how I can really run a building, darling. Not even a cracked knee to hold me back, yeah? What a nice birthday present. Birthday? I didn't know. Happy belated, I say with a smile. My eyes go to the paperclip strewn in his lap. What are you doing? Oh, Dave picks up one of the things he's making, something that looks like a metal circle. Just passing the time. He holds the circle up to the light, then takes my hand. He presses it into my palm. A gift for you. I study it more closely. It's made of 4 unfurled paper clips, carefully entwined around one another in a spiral, and pulled together end to end so they form a tiny ring. Simple and neat. Artistic even. I can see love and care in the twist of metal, the little bends where Dave's fingers worked the wire over and over until it formed the right curves. He made it for me. I push it onto my finger, and it slides effortlessly into place. Gorgeous. I'm bashful, flattered into complete silence. Can't remember the last time anyone actually made something for me on his own. Dave seems disappointed by my reaction, but hides it behind a careless laugh. I know you rich folks have all your fancy traditions, but in the poor sectors, engagements and gestures of affection usually go like this. Engagements? My heart flutters in my chest. I can't help smiling. With paperclip rings? Oh no, I'd meant it as an honest question of curiosity, but don't realize I sound sarcastic until the words are already out of my mouth. Dave blushes a little. I'm immediately angry at myself for slipping up again. With something homemade, he corrects me after a beat. He's looking down, clearly embarrassed, and I feel horrible for having triggered it. Sorry, it's kind of stupid looking, he says in a low voice. Wish I could make something nicer for you. No, I interrupt, trying to fix what I just said. I really like it. I run my fingers over the tiny ring, keeping my eyes fixed on it so I don't have to meet Dave's eyes. Does he assume that I don't think it's good enough? Say something, June, anything. My details come bubbling up. Unplated galvanized steel wiring. This is good material, you know, sturdier than the alloy one, still bendy and won't rust. I stop when I see Dave's withering stare. I like it, I repeat. Idiotic, replied June. Why don't you punch him in the face while you're at it? I turn even more flustered when I remember that I have actually pistol-whipped him in the face before. Romantic. You're welcome, he says, shoving a couple of the unbent paper clips into his pockets. There's a long pause. I'm not sure what he wanted me to say back, but it probably wasn't a list of paper clips' physical properties. Suddenly unsure of myself, I draw closer and rest my head against Dave's chest. He takes a quick breath, as if I'd caught him by surprise, and then he drapes his arm gently around me. There, that's better. I close my eyes. One of his hands combs through my hair, sending goosebumps down my arms, and I allow myself to indulge in a little moment of fantasy. I imagine him running a finger along my jawline, bringing his face down to mine. Dave leans over my ear. How are you feeling about the plan? He whispers. I shrug, shoving my disappointment away. Stupid of me to fantasize about kissing Day at a time like this. Has anyone told you what you're supposed to do? No, but I'm sure there's going to be some kind of national broadcast to tell the country I'm still alive. I'm supposed to stir up trouble, right? Work the people into a frenzy? Day laughs dryly, but his face doesn't look amused. Whatever gets me to Eden, I guess. I guess, I say. He pulls me upright then, so that I face him. I don't know if they'll let us communicate with each other, he says. His voice drops so low I can barely hear it. The plan sounds good, but if something goes wrong... They'll keep a close eye on me, I'm sure, I interrupt him. Moose is a Republic officer. He can find a way to get me out if it starts falling apart. As for communications, I bite my lip thinking, I'll come up with something. Day touches my chin, bringing me closer until his nose brushes mine. If anything goes wrong, if you change your mind, if you need help, you send a signal. You hear me? His words send shivers down my neck. Okay, I whisper. Day gives me a subtle nod, then pulls away and leans back against his pillows. I let out my breath. Are you ready? He asks. Are you ready? He asks. There's more to a sentence I can tell, but he doesn't say it. Are you ready to kill the Elector? I give him a forced grin. Ready as I'll ever be. We stay like that for a long time until the light filtering in from the windows is bright and we hear the morning pledge blaring out across the city. Finally, I hear the front door swing open and close and then Razor's voice. Footsteps approach the bedroom and Razor peeks in, rises straighten, and sit up. How's that leg of yours? He asks Day. His face is as calm as ever, his expressionless eyes behind his glasses. Day nods. Good. Excellent. Razor smiles sympathetically. I hope you've had enough time with your boy, Miss Empress. We're moving out in an hour. I thought the medic wanted me to rest for it. Day starts to say. Sorry, Razor replies as he turns away. We have an airship to catch. Don't push that leg too hard just yet.